NBA Today starts right now. It's almost here. We're less than 24 hours away from the NBA trade deadline, and there has been some vexing chatter that has started to make its way around NBA circles that Kevin Durant could be on the move. We've reported that Phoenix has been willing to listen to offers for him in recent days, and as sources told our Brian Windhorst, the Warriors are among the teams that have interest. Shams Charania, our senior insider, is here alongside us now. Shams, where does all of this stand between the Suns, the Warriors, and Kevin Durant?
Malika, the Warriors have been seriously pursuing Kevin Durant over the last week, but sources tell me that Durant has no desire in a reunion with the Warriors. He does not want to go back to the Warriors, where he won 2 championships, won 2 finals MVPs. The Suns' position in all of this has been to continue to build around Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but due to their record, teams have been very aggressive calling the Suns. It's unclear where these talks go between now and tomorrow's deadline, but one thing is clear around the league right now, and that's Kevin Durant does not want to go back to the Warriors in any trade. So for the Warriors, do they continue this pursuit of Kevin Durant? Do they move on to a guy like Jimmy Butler, who we've been discussing over the last couple of months? Is Chicago's Nikola Vucevic a target as well? We'll know in the next 24 hours.
Okay, so there will be no reunion, Shams, at least if Kevin Durant gets his way, between the Golden State Warriors and the MVP, the former MVP in Kevin Durant. We're trying to check back in with you a little bit later in the show. Brian Windhorst, I want to get your reaction here. When you hear that Kevin Durant does not want to go back to Golden State.
So over the last day or two, there's been some negotiations going on a 3-team maneuver between Miami, Golden State, and Phoenix that would have included Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant. I don't know whether or not, I mean, I know what Shams says is correct. I don't know whether or not that precludes Miami or from Phoenix from still going ahead and trading him. He doesn't have a no-trade clause. They could, in theory, still trade him. They could, in theory, hold him and also hold Bradley Beal and just move on with the season, although their team is 500, not performing well. They could discuss what Kevin's going to do this summer. He's got 1 year left on his contract. They have to get a clarity on what he wants to do going forward. Or they could, having one side of the triangle out, discuss with Miami doing a trade straight up Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler. That trade works straight up. Now, the concept that the Suns had was to put Butler and KD together, that they've been working on for a month. So I don't know how that would work, but I don't know, with these talks, I don't know if KD can go back to Phoenix knowing that he was discussed out there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you don't want to go back to a place where you won 2 championships and you had some success. We understand everybody loves Steph, so it has to be a reason. Is it a locker room? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a structure thing? Is it the way they play the game of basketball? It has to be a reason why he doesn't want to go back there because we've seen how it worked. We've seen he had success. Or is it a Draymond Green thing?
You know, I was there that last year. He was in Golden State, saw a lot of those games and saw this unhappiness no matter what their success was. Was it Draymond? Was it Joe Lacob behind the scenes? Was it Kerr? There were a lot of things there. And I was told that a couple days ago when Kevin heard about this Warriors rumbling, he was like, what? No, I don't want to go back there. Was pretty adamant. And I think he approached the Suns to get some clarity on it. And can you work with me to find a place somewhere else? And you know, from what I hear right now, just got a text that it's dead.
I mean, 2 things.
The Warriors deal is dead.
Yeah.
For Kevin Durant.
Like they're moving on. It's
okay.
not like.
Go ahead, UD. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, 2 things can be true. As a player, like you can want to go there and you can still have respect for those guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
But we don't forget anything. And there's certain things as players we don't accept and you can't say to us, we'll forgive you, but we won't forget it. And there may be a situation where he just might not want to be in that space again.
Well, for the most realistic outcomes, it seems like what you're saying, Brian, is that there could be something on the table for Miami and also for staying in Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, a trade KD for Jimmy Butler functionally works.
Okay.
The Suns are in a straitjacket in terms of making deals.
Yep.
They can make that deal. Pat Riley and the Heat have wanted Kevin Durant at several times in the past. But again, the concept for the Suns was to put them together.
Right.
So I can't say for sure what's going to happen. There also could be another team that, once they hear Shams say this, and I promise you right now the league is reacting to Shams saying this, and Spears just saying that he's dead, and there's a possibility that another team could come in and try to negotiate something with the Suns. But if I had to guess right now, admitting that things are changing, I would say he either stays in Phoenix or is it Miami Heat by tomorrow afternoon?
So Shanae and I think very similarly. And I know that what we're thinking right now is if KD is moved, what does that package even looks like? It feels like that's why we need to check in with Bobby Marks here. Bobby, let's crunch some numbers. What does this look like?
Well, I think it all depends on how much does Phoenix want Jimmy Butler, because as Brian said, really, realistically, the only path for Phoenix to get Jimmy Butler is certainly in a Kevin Durant type trade here. And I think when you look at it, right, Brian said Durant, Butler matches here. So when we look at Butler, certainly, and Durant, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you're looking at this roster and you're saying, like, how much else do we want, right, from this group? To just make the deal work, certainly within the CBA, we're going to just put Josh Richardson in here, and we're going to throw in a 2031 first. Okay, that deal on the paper works when you look at it here, okay? But let's go back and look at Miami's roster. If you are Phoenix, you're looking at, I want another pick here in 2029. And then I'm looking at some of your young players, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, 2 young players. And if you're Miami, you have to ask yourself, is that too much to go after Kevin Durant, where you're basically giving your young players and basically all your draft picks left?
But doesn't life just happen so fast, especially with the trade deadline? Because I feel like there's an elephant in the room. Why would they even think about trading Kevin Durant? And I spent some time thinking about that, and the only answer I can think of is if it's a competitive reset for them.
I can answer it. The Suns are having a tough season. They're 1 game over 500. They tried for a month to trade Bradley Beal. They can't. So now they're looking at status quo or doing something else. So, well, what if we trade Durant and we can get Jimmy Butler plus some things? Jimmy Butler plus Nikola Jovic, plus Jaime Jaquez, plus multiple first-round picks. And that way your team is still competitive and you reset yourself a little bit, but not be a rebuild.
Exactly, that competitive reset. But I also think about this being a huge learning lesson when it comes to the consequences of what people knew previously as the luxury tax, but now it's the second apron. When you pierce through that, it has consequences where salaries are aggregated and it makes it harder to move guys. So if your team, you put all these chips together, expensive contracts together, it has consequences when it doesn't work because you can't move them the way you assemble them. To me, that's number one. And two, this also tells me that they continue to believe that Devin Booker is the cornerstone, no matter what. Yeah. At 28 years old.
I can say this. Everybody on the Phoenix Suns, multiple people have told me, everybody on the Phoenix Suns has been made available except for Devin Booker.
Exactly.
I know that they can deny it and they can say that they didn't make a call on Kevin Durant and they only took calls, and that's fine. I am telling you, multiple teams told me the Suns communicated that there was only one untouchable player on the roster.
Precisely.
And that was Devin Booker.
Devin Booker.
2 real quick things here. And I love Chiney's CBA knowledge here. Double apron teams, right? We're talking about double. Very complex when you're dealing with 2 teams with the apron. Here's one thing. If this doesn't work out or materialize, look at a possible Jonas Valanciunas, Jusuf Nurkic type trade where Phoenix would attach one of those first-round picks they acquired from Utah. That's one of the side moves that's not involved in certainly the Jimmy Butler talks. Look for them to maybe go out and get Valanciunas on that deal.
And these are the types of moves that we're going to be monitoring between now and tomorrow's trade deadline. Again, all of this is still hypothetical. Teams are making calls, but we are following this story incredibly closely. But let's, Shams, you reported that Kevin Durant, the Phoenix Suns are open and listening, but a trade with the Golden State Warriors, that may not be realistic. Why?
So, Malika, we've been talking for weeks, months, that the Warriors have been in pursuit of a star player alongside Stephen Curry, a scorer, someone that can ease the burden for him and Draymond Green. Over the last week or so, the Warriors really started to target and hone in on Kevin Durant and the possibilities of bringing him to Golden State, back to Golden State, especially with the Suns team that has struggled as of late. But sources tell me that Kevin Durant has no desire for a reunion. He absolutely does not want to go back. And so the Suns' position for the better part of the last year, ever since acquiring Kevin Durant, has been to build around him and Devin Booker. But of course, because of their record, there have been teams calling, and it's unclear right now as we speak where this all goes between now and less than 24 hours from now. And the Warriors will have to make decisions as well. Do they continue the pursuit of Kevin Durant knowing that he does not want to be there? Do they move on to someone like Jimmy Butler, Nikola Vucevic? There are some other players on the market worth monitoring.
Shams, thank you so much. We're certainly going to be keeping an eye on this. It should be noted that Kevin Durant is listed as out for tonight's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Bobby Marks, I'd like to check in with you as we continue to break this down. What leverage does Kevin Durant have to dictate where he wants to go? Because Shams is saying he doesn't want Golden State.
He doesn't have any leverage, Malika. He does not have a no-trade clause. When he signed that extension with Brooklyn, he was not allowed to put that no-trade clause. If Phoenix wants to trade him, they could trade him to any of the other 29 teams. And I think certainly when we're looking at Phoenix, let's talk about the Miami Heat, of course, as far as if they want Jimmy Butler, basically they're going to have to trade Kevin Durant. And here's the reason why. We were talking about the apron and how complex it is here. We can get this up here.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the apron. In a real world, you would just love to trade Joseph Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, right? 3 contracts, you get it, you match up with Jimmy Butler. The apron rules do not allow you to aggregate contracts here.
Right.
So that's why we're talking about Jimmy Butler, certainly, and when we're looking at Kevin Durant. Now, if you're looking at it from Phoenix's perspective, that's not an equal match. Now you're looking at some of your young players, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, certainly from Miami. You just want to put in a minimum salary player like Josh Richardson. They do have 2 first-round picks to go out and trade. Let's put 2031 in there. And that matches. But if you're from Phoenix's, is that enough for you?
Yeah.
Do a deal here. And I think if you're Miami, you're saying, well, wait a minute. We have Jimmy Butler. You want Jimmy Butler. We control the situation. And if we're not going to trade him to Phoenix, we're going to trade him to Golden State instead.
Well, it sounds like the Heat have the leverage here. Why would the Suns do this?
Yeah, it's really mind-boggling where we are right now. But if we're gonna be real about it, we're in February. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and what we're seeing with this trade deadline are the love-hate relationships in the NBA. And you're starting to discover who is untouchable. Where you're like, oh, you thought he was untouchable? Actually, no. This is the case. And when we start whittling down when it comes to Phoenix, as Wendy said, Devin Booker, it appears to be, is untouchable. He is, 28 years old, averaging over his career 24 points per game. He is the cornerstone. 2, besides being untouchable, Devin Booker, is that dollars really matter. And I think Bobby's doing an excellent job trying to, give us the schematics of what is possible. But once you pierce that second apron, the consequences are real if your team does not materialize. You don't have many moves to make. It's all mistakes in some ways, because these are circumstances where not only you can't aggregate salaries, but people forget that their picks are frozen until 2032.
They don't control their first-round pick in the next 7 years. They've got 6-round picks, but they're from other teams here.
To put it into context, the pick that they can control, their prospect, is in middle school right now. In middle school. So you think about the consequences. Yeah, it's tough, but now you're looking at a competitive reset as a pathway forward with a little bit more flexibility, all because you are the most expensive team in basketball.
Why are we getting all this Bay hate, Malika? First it's Charles Barkley, then it's Jimmy, now it's KD.
I'm just over here minding my business.
Why we get all this Bay hate? I don't get it. But I do think that the Warriors aren't done. They've been scouring everywhere. They're trying to find something. Nikola Vucevic, it's not as sexy, but I like him for the Warriors.
Let me speak to that.
Yeah.
Wendy's gavel. Wendy's wand.
If we know that the Heat want to trade Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
We know that the Heat may want to trade Jimmy Butler, as Bobby was showing us, for Kevin Durant.
Yep.
If the Phoenix Suns decide they do not want to trade Kevin Durant and they bail out of this, you could have the Warriors call the Heat and do a deal for Jimmy Butler. And that you have Jimmy Butler end up in the Bay. I know that is not something that has been discussed in the past. Jimmy has previously indicated he wasn't crazy about signing an extension there. But you have this sort of pieces and parts. You have the Warriors, you have the Suns, you have the Heat, you have Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant. And there's a jigsaw puzzle that could come together there, that if you don't see a Heat-Suns trade, that you could see a Warriors-Heat trade.
Let me help you out here. I know a little bit about big threes. And I know a little bit about big threes. And there's an unwritten rule with a big three is if you don't win, they're going to blow it up. You don't put a big three together to be 500.
Okay.
You don't.
Yeah.
You put a big three together to win championships.
And Kevin knows that.
Yes. And one thing we understood in Miami, if we didn't win, the Godfather was going to blow it up. And we told each other that.
So we
better tighten up.
Is Jimmy the fix for Phoenix?
That's a good question.
But it's out of his hands because of Beal's contract.
But I would say this, because part of big threes are the guys you put around them.
Okay.
Bringing in Jimmy is not going to be enough. they still have to put more pieces
So
around
you
those
asked
guys.
the
That's why
question.
our big three was successful. The Shane Battiers, the Mike Millers, the Udonis
Haslams.
Haslams. Those guys. I was going to say him. You know, I wasn't going to leave him out. That's why the big threes are
You
successful.
say to yourself, why would the Suns trade Kevin Durant? Because the status quo doesn't work. And if you trade Durant now, you can recoup
Right.
what you gave up to get him.
And that's all good and well. When you take a look at what it is that they gave up to get him, it was a lot. And part of the question is, why does this make sense for Phoenix, UD? And that comes back to, what does Jimmy have left? You have seen Jimmy in a different way over the last couple of years than any of us sitting up on that panel, up on this panel have. What does he have left? What can he bring to Phoenix?
I'm going to shoot it straight as an arrow. He got something in the tank now.
Okay.
I played one-on-one with Jimmy every day. Before games, after games, before practice, every day I played one-on-one with Jimmy. Playoff Jimmy, I got a chance to see him firsthand. It gave me nightmares. Some of the shots he used to make, some of the things he used to do. So, yes, Jimmy can be on a team, and he can help a team win and push a team to the championship. He can still move the needle.
And if you can get Jimmy Butler plus other stuff, it could entice the Suns to try to do a half reset, half stay in competitive with this year.
And the thing that's dangling over all of this is, where will Jimmy want to stay long term? And our team's going to be afraid to make a move for him, the excellent player that you just detailed, if it's not going to be beyond this season. That is going to be the question. With all this trade talk,
with the second pick, the Seattle Supersonics select Kevin Durant.
Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. What does that quote mean to you, Kevin?
Man, how good I am, I got to keep working.
NBA most valuable.
You're the real MVP.
Holding the stage.
Outside. Warriors back-to-back title.
I want to be the best basketball player I can be.
I shoot my shot, then it's going in. Never fall, and I never been.
I know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant.
yeah, you know who he is. He's Kevin Durant. But where is he going to be after tomorrow's trade deadline? That may be the biggest question we look to see answered in the next 23 hours. Brian Windhorst, what are you monitoring there?
For sure. So we were looking at this triangle where Golden State, Phoenix, and Miami were negotiating. It looks like Golden State is out on KD, but that doesn't mean that they're out on Jimmy Butler. You still could see Jimmy Butler go to Golden State, but I think the slot right now is KD and the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat and KD have circled each other for years. I don't know if there's a deal that can be done, but Phoenix is really zippered up in what they're able to do. That is a deal they actually could do. We'll see whether Phoenix actually wants to go through with it.
That's what we're monitoring most closely. Mark Spears, if you had to make a prediction of what we're going to see between now and tomorrow, what would that be?
Well, a month ago, if you asked the Golden State Warriors what they wanted wanted a big to go alongside Draymond Green to allow him to not play any center and to get healthier. I think they get that. It's not the sexy move, but it's the good move. Nikola Vucevic, welcome to San Francisco. That's my prediction.
Oh.
The Heat finally moved Jimmy Butler.
He's got praying hands here, everybody.
Yeah, are you praying? Are you praying hard?
Little something.
You throwing something up?
Little something.
Are we throwing something up?
Little something.
You think that the Heat are going to, by tomorrow, Jimmy Butler will no longer be in a Miami Heat uniform?
But that's why I was praying.
Okay.
Pray for what you want.
Look, I'm going to take those prayers by Udonis a little bit further, because the Miami Heat have been a little bit in purgatory when it comes to this situation, and then they get manna from heaven. They get Kevin Durant. So, you know what? I feel like that's not a bad look. That's not a bad look. All right. That's my prediction. You saw a little light shine down
on you, too. I saw that.
Jay's predicting the Heat are going to get Kevin Durant. This is shaped up in a time where we've talked about it being harder than ever to make big trades. This is shaped up to be the most interesting trade deadline in recent memory. We are going to be here with you
I have
to
a
cover
prediction.
it all.
Oh, Wendy,
Tomorrow.
you got to do it. You got to do it.
My prediction is that this deadline is unpredictable.
I think that is a short prediction, particularly because of the trade that we saw over the weekend that brought Luka Doncic to Los Angeles. Here he is practicing for the first time with the Los Angeles Lakers just moments ago. And head coach J.J. Redick, he did talk about Luka's availability for Saturday's game here. The NBA has proven over the last couple of days, truly anything is possible. We will be with you.
Don't go to sleep around the deadline also.
We will be with you for it all tomorrow.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support. And hope to see you on the next video.